What's up, guys? Welcome back to the WRPF podcast. I'm your host, Alex Uslar. Episode 48, almost halfway to 100 episodes. That's cool. But what's even cooler is we're 12 days out from the Ghost Clash 3. All right. Hunter Henderson returning after competing in year 2, returning for year 3. Hunter Henderson also number 3 on open powerlifting, right? You open up that website, no filter
Yeah.
needed, no search bar needed. Top 3 names, you're there. I can only imagine how
Yeah.
fucking cool that is, huh?
It's cool. It's pretty cool. Obviously, the goal is to be the first name you see on that list, but we'll get there eventually.
Hell
But
yeah. Especially you being someone who came into the sport of powerlifting when like those top 2 names were already pretty much there at the top, or it was a battle
yeah,
between a couple of people. So I can only
yeah,
imagine how cool that is now to be right there as well.
yeah, it is cool. Because like I followed Steffi, I followed Stacy, I followed Mariana for a long time, and they were always, the inspiration. So to be one of those names at the top of that list now is it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. A lot of the guests that I've interviewed, whether that are leading into the Ghost Clash or just towards those top of lists in general, a lot of them have been powerlifting and have been powerlifting a lot longer than you, right? When we open up your
Yeah,
powerlifting history, you just started powerlifting in 2018. In the grand scheme of things, it's
yeah,
a pretty short career, right? And you
yeah.
fucking climbed to the top crazy fucking quick, right?
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey so far. I'll say that.
So I want to dive into that journey. I want to hear
Yeah,
what got you to ultimately that first competition in 2018. But
yeah,
first, take me super far back because you've talked a
love
little
it.
bit about your story of like
Yeah.
your health things that you battled at a really young age, and so take me from born. What year were you born, and what
Yeah.
happened?
Okay, cool. So I was born in 94. I'm a 90s baby. I am from a microscopic town. Like we're talking, I graduated with 23 people, so
How's that
tiny,
even
tiny
possible?
town. Right?
That's
Right?
insane.
Like we didn't have a track to run on for like track and field. We ran around our graveyard. Yeah,
Oh, okay, very
small,
cool.
like 8-man football, like tiny, tiny. No gas stations, nothing there.
And
Uh,
what's the name of the town? We got
DeKalb, DeKalb, Missouri.
Missouri, DeKalb, Missouri.
Yeah,
Very nice.
DeKalb, Missouri. And then I eventually moved to Kansas City, which is like an hour away from that. But backtracking, when I was 4, I was diagnosed with I had a Wilms tumor, which is kidney cancer, basically. I had a tumor around my right kidney. So I underwent chemo and radiation, and eventually they removed the tumor along with my kidney. During that time, they also found that I had a little heart defect. Basically, you're born with a hole in your heart, and that should close, and mine didn't. So they had to go in and fix that. So I have battled some things medically, but thankfully came out on the other side. And then I got into fitness. I was a runner first. I loved running. You know, I didn't at the time didn't even know about weights, didn't know anything about powerlifting, didn't know powerlifting existed. And I eventually started going to a Planet Fitness, and I thought I was such a badass. Let me tell you, I was like, I learned how to squat on the Smith machine.
What
So I
now?
like,
Was this all in DeKalb, Missouri?
this is it. So we had a town.
I'm calling
There's a
it DeKalb.
town.
I don't remember what the actual name was, but
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. There's a town. You would have to drive to town basically for those types of things. So like gas, groceries, gym, you would have to go to town. And town was St. Joe, Missouri, which was like 20 minutes from us ish. So I got into lifting. Eventually I joined a commercial gym and I told a friend, I was like, I was scrolling on my phone and I don't know how, but I found a video of Stacy Burr at I think I think it was the 2018 Kern US Open. And she was pulling her third deadlift and I was like, what is this? I was like, whatever this is, I need to be a part of this. And I told a friend, I was like, hey, I think that I want to be a power lifter. Like that just sounds and looks so cool. And he was like, okay, well, I have a friend, uh, and he runs a powerlifting gym, Strong Barbell Club, uh, JP Price. And so I went there and just kind of fell into a rabbit hole and kind of just got sucked in and I've just gone for it all, you know?
So that's super cool. So you did track and field. Did you do that in school?
Yeah, yeah. So I
Okay.
was I mean, we were so small. I did every sport that they offered. You know, basketball, softball, track, cross country, did it all.
Well,
So,
through that time, how common was it for like females working out? Did they have you working out at all in your school, or that was just something that you kind of wanted to do on your own on the side?
so we did weights in the summer. And that is where I would I guess started. Um, because like I was pretty strong for my age and like where I was at. Like I didn't know shit, but I was pretty strong. But yeah, they had us girls lifting back then.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
kind of during that period is like CrossFit was around, other things like that were around.
Yeah.
Females were getting more into the barbell and working out
Yeah.
in general. So it wasn't something that was necessarily like looked down upon or frowned upon at all at that point.
Yeah.
So that takes you then to through that, getting out of high
Hmm.
school, you then decide to start working out more seriously.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
how
I don't
long
know
was it that you
what
were just doing Planet Fitness before actually seeing that YouTube that
uh yeah, I think it was like a solid 3 years of me just being a gym bro. Like I don't know what inspired me, but I was just like, I want to get huge. Like I want to be a monster. I want to be, you know, super muscular and super strong. So yeah, about 3 years until I figured out what powerlifting was.
well, then that makes sense because when we get into 2018, your first competition, it's like you had from that first competition an absolute
Yeah.
fantastic foundation of strength.
Hmm.
Most people don't
Yeah.
jump into their first comp and already squat, the mid 300s, bench almost 200
Yeah.
pounds. Those are things that an average lifter aspired to do after a couple years of
Yeah.
lifting. So you were right in knowing that, you were stronger in that period, right?
Yeah.
But so I'm always curious because I love hearing how people got that first exposure. And it's so funny that Instagram was already prevalent. You already had an Instagram.
Hmm.
You had been on Instagram for God knows how many years, but there wasn't explore pages back then on Instagram, right? There wasn't like
No.
things that were just kind of flashed at you, but you somehow happen to stumble upon one of those lifting pages and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea how, but I am so thankful that I did for sure.
So that then takes you from there. You find out about JP Strong Barbell Club, which is so fortunate, right? Because in a lot of
Yeah.
small
Right.
towns, in the middle of nowhere, whatever it is, even if you drive 30, 45 minutes, you're not going to find,
Yeah.
especially during that period. Right now, we talk
Yeah.
anywhere, you're going to pretty much be able to find it no matter how small the town. But
Yeah.
2018, not as common.
No.
So take me through that. What was your first experience like going to Strong Barbell Club, seeing that and starting to
Yeah.
understand powerlifting more? What was that immersion like from going from just seeing that one video to like full immersion? Were you like follow, 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 seeing these different pages? What was that like?
Yeah, yeah. So I was all totally into it. And, you know, I walked into Strong Barbell Club that first day and I saw this bigger woman and she had her belt on, she had her heels on, she had her knee sleeves. And I had no idea what she was wearing. And I was like super intimidated. And I was like, holy shit, I don't know if I belong here. This is crazy. And then, so like I said, I learned to squat on a Smith machine. So that first day, JP was like, okay, like, let's get a barbell on your back. Let's squat down. Like, let's see what you got. and I couldn't do it.
You
Because
had
like,
never barbell squatted during all those years. Oh,
no,
that's nuts. That's fucking
couldn't. And
nuts.
like, he was like, okay, like, let's try it PVC pipe. Like, and I like, my heels were coming up. I couldn't, like, I was falling over. I could not squat. And JP was like, okay, he gave me his wife's heels at the time. And he's like squatting these like until you can get your own pair. And he like gave me wrist straps, gave me all the stuff, and like got me started. And it's I'm really thankful for him and like how welcoming he was because I was so intimidated that first day. Like I genuinely was like, oh shit, what did I do?
And that was also around the height of JP's career himself.
Yeah. And I had no idea who JP was when I first met him until someone was like talking and they were like, yeah, that's JP Price. He squatted 1,000 whatever pounds. And I'm like, what? What?
Can't squat a
What do you
PVC
mean?
pipe, but that's cool.
Yeah, like I can squat 5 pounds. Like, cool.
So take me through those first couple months. Around when was it do you think that you joined his gym? And obviously you were so much more fortunate than 90% of people who walk into
Yeah,
a strength gym or any kind of gym that want to get into powerlifting, that you had someone so
yeah,
warm, inviting, and willing to help. You know what I mean?
yeah, for
So
sure.
what was like that first year, so to speak? Like how long was it before you jumped to that first powerlifting competition?
I had actually already signed up for my first powerlifting competition. I dove headfirst into the pool on that one. So I came to SBC and I was already like, I don't know how many weeks out, but I was already ready. Like, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. And it was super cool because they already had like a whole team set up. So they basically just integrated me right into their team, showed me the ropes, kind of taught me everything. You know, I had never seen a combo rack before. I had no idea what everything did. Like I was completely clueless. And they just made it like a really welcoming experience and kind of taught me everything that I know.
I feel like that's an absolute first for any elite
Yeah,
powerlifter, anyone like that, to go from signing up your first competition, not being able to squat a fucking PVC pipe, being able to
yeah,
be immersed into an actual team, and then squatting 352 at your first competition.
yeah, yeah. Right? Like that's crazy. Who
So
does
it's
that? I
when
don't know.
people are like, it's all that to say, like the people who are at the top, the people who are the best, and you guys are anomalies, right? You guys are one in a
Hmm.
million. The fact, it's just something you're fucking born with, you know?
Yeah,
And it's a difficult conversation as a coach and as someone, when people are like, oh, I want to be like that one day. It's like, man, a lot of people that are like that, they just fucking had it, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Not
for
not to
sure.
say there's not tons of hard work that goes into it,
Absolutely. No, I
but
agree. Yeah.
that is insanely impressive and probably one of the most out of these 50 episodes that I've done, one of the most impressive stories of what it looked like from deciding you wanted to compete in powerlifting and then competing in your first fucking competition.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
So
that's
take me
cool.
through that first competition. How did it go? Because this is also older
Oh my
powerlifting. It only
God.
shows what attempts you ended up getting. It doesn't show which ones you missed, etc.
Yeah.
Take me through that.
So I was an absolute like emotional mess on that day. I remember, and I was probably so fucking annoying because I like cried all day. I cried. I was just like, oh, I think I missed my third bench or something, and I just bawled. And then I attempted my third deadlift was like 402, and I just cried like a baby. Um, but I did go 3 for 3 on squats. I ended up getting like 352 or something. I benched like just under 200 and then pulled like 374. So I think it was
Yeah, it's
like
like so you
950 or
bench
something.
192, you probably missed 200, which is like mentally you're like, I
Yeah,
want to bench 200 pounds.
yeah, yeah,
Deadlift at 374, mentally like I want to deadlift 402. But those are
yeah.
usually things that people do after just stumbling upon an Instagram video of powerlifting a couple months before.
Right. Yeah, right. Especially like back then. I feel like we're really evolved now. Like I see a lot of like younger girls and I'm like, holy crap, you're strong. Like, wow. But back then, like that was pretty cool to be doing that at that time. So
A 400-pound deadlift for a female is the new 315. Like, as
literally,
someone who I've been coaching and been in powerlifting since like 2014, 2013, it's like all the girls strived, wanted to deadlift 300 pounds.
yeah,
You deadlifted 315, you deadlifted three plates. That was so
yeah,
fucking impressive. That was crazy.
yeah.
Now you don't bat an eye at that. You should get that so
No,
fucking quick. And now 400 is that new, like, okay, that's normal, you know?
yeah.
Crazy.
Like that's just another day. Like what? It's
Absolutely
it's
insane.
so it's so cool. That's like one of the coolest things about being a part of women's powerlifting is like we are like completely rewriting the book. Like so at the 2021 Kern, my world record at the time was 650. And then 2 weeks ago in the animal cage, I squatted that for three. So it's like not to like toot my own horn, but like just to speak to the progression of women's powerlifting, like, holy shit. Like we have women benching 400. We have women pulling 640, like on the verge of, going for 700. Like, what? That's crazy. And
It's
it's,
absolutely crazy. It's funny because I was having a conversation with someone where I was talking about like prize funds, prize division for the Ghost Clash, and
yeah,
this person doesn't know that much about powerlifting, but they're like, oh, why do you have so many different categories, so many people? I was kind of explaining that, and they're like, well, why don't you
yeah.
just loop men and women all together? And I'm like, well, you
Oh,
can't because the women would just fucking decimate. They would wipe it out.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like, would you say, oh, is it because the way that dots is scored, etc.? No, I think it's just, especially historically, of what we've looked at from a strength perspective, from a muscular gain perspective, from an athletic perspective, men
yeah.
have historically been more in the forefront. But
Hmm.
women, I think, are shining more than men and doing things that we didn't think were as humanly possible, as opposed to like
Yeah,
thinking, oh, will, someone deadlift 1,100 pounds? Will someone deadlift 500 kilos as a male?
yeah, yeah. And it's super cool to see and like be a part of. It's awesome.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah. So going back to the history, take me from that first competition, right? Totaled 920,
yeah,
over 400 dots, whatever that fuck that was with Wilkes at the time, right?
yeah,
Into your next competition again,
yeah,
2018. Take a bit of time. You have about a 7 month or a 6 month gap between that
yeah,
first competition and the second competition. Take me through what that 6 months was like, how you grew and evolved and began to look at the sport, and at what point, also not to jump too many questions, were you like,
yeah,
I want to be the fucking best?
yeah. So I did another meet in Iowa. So just a short drive from where I was living at. Um, and I just kind of, once you have some experience under your belt, you're like, okay, I got this. Like at the second meet, I wasn't a crying, blubbery mess. Like I failed, yes, but I got right back up. We kept moving, kept it going. Um, that was, I think I totaled like just like 1100 or
1080. Yeah,
12.
just under 1100.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, put quite a few pounds on my previous total. Um, I think, and it was just a good meet all around. Like at that point, I was like, okay, like there's something here, and um, it wasn't like I didn't know yet. Like I didn't know I would be at where I'm at now. Like I didn't know about open powerlifting. I didn't know about world records yet. I didn't know anything. I was just doing it to just do it. Like I just loved it. Um, and then my third meet after that, when I was prepping for that, I realized that I was pretty close to an all-time world record squat. And that's when I was like, okay, like if I can do that, I bet, like I just started thinking about it and I was like, okay, like I knew what open powerlifting was. I started like crunching the numbers and I was 165. I was competing at 165 at the time and I was like, okay, this is what I would have to hit to be number one in the world, like over everybody. And this is like what I would have to do. And I was like, okay, like that doesn't sound so crazy to me. Like that's we can do that. Like maybe not right now, but eventually this is going to happen for me. So, and I still believe that to this day.
Well,
So,
you had a lot of time, and I think that's probably also
mhm.
proper guidance that you had of JP and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Time to build. You're not like that typical beginner. Oh, every time you see a competition, you're excited, you want to sign up. So
no,
you had that gap of between November 2018 to October of 2019 of
yeah,
just building, building, building. And if you
yeah,
look at whatever a ranking would have been at that time, that obviously at the 8-man open competition
hmm,
was a breakout performance, right? In the grand
yeah,
scheme of
for
things.
sure,
If
for
people knew
sure.
who you were, they probably knew who you were then after that.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
getting
for
reposted on
sure.
different social media pages. So when you first started crunching the numbers of those records, that was leading up to that meet. What were the records, and did
Hmm.
you hit any at that meet?
I didn't. I was super close. I think I squatted like,
518.
yeah, I was super, super close. I don't remember what it was at the time, but I know it was close because then after that, I went and did the showdown and I broke it at the showdown because I squatted 534 there. So like I was so close at this meet to doing it, but unfortunately didn't. So
So you
it's
go
pretty
into that
cool.
meet. This is your first, like, I guess, because you had to travel to California for this meet. This is your first kind of
Yeah.
higher level meet, right?
Yeah. And like I'm competing against Mariana was there. It was Cece's meet. She was the meet director for it. So it was like my first time like at the big girl table. And it was cool. I feel like I handled myself well and I had enough experience and like intelligence at the time to compete well and handle it well.
Hell yeah. So after that, that's end of 2019, right? You have this breakout
Yeah,
performance. I can only imagine from there, it's like that's where now the pro circuit, now you're within
yeah,
arm's reach of these different records. But then we
yeah,
also get hit with COVID. So take me kind of through that
yeah,
year of end of 2019 until that next competition that you ended up competing at, the showdown, which fortunately
yeah,
got enough moved to your home state, right?
yeah. So I originally signed up for the 2020 Kern. Like
Right.
I prepped for that meet until they called it off. Like I was all in for it. Um, Obviously they called that off, and then the showdown was that was the end of 2020, right?
September. So endish. Yep.
Yeah,
Endish.
yeah, towards the end of 20, yeah. So I like was prepping until April for the Kern and they called it off. And so I just like took a few months break basically and went right into showdown prep. That was a sleeved meet, 165, and that's where I got my first world record. And that was such a cool experience. I did not handle myself well. I say that, but I don't know. Like, so I broke the record on my second, and I was just done. Like, the third was not happening. Like, just I had came and got what I wanted to get. Like, I'm just done. I'm good. So I failed my third. But now that I'm like more, I don't know, I've gotten a few of those under my belt now. And it's like, okay, second's done. We still have work to do.
Right.
So,
Like mentally, you
yeah.
weren't all in to go into that third. Right.
No, no, I had done it and I was like, cool, I'm out. Bye.
Right. But so with that performance, ended with a 624 dots, obviously breaking into the 600 dots at that time
Yeah.
was absolutely insane, especially raw. That definitely put
Yeah.
you way up there in the rankings right away. Where did you finish overall? Because did Christy compete that year also at the showdown?
She did not. Um, Mariana did though. So Mariana beat me, and I took second. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I pulled it open. She hit a 640 dots. You hit a 620
Yeah.
dots.
Yeah.
Still absolutely fucking insane. The next
Pretty
high
cool.
female dots at that meet was a 560.
Oh
So
wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, already after that, your fourth competition, you solidified yourself as such a fucking outlier, right?
Yeah.
So that's super cool. So then All right, we wrap into then going into your
Yeah,
first wrapped meet of the current US Open, right?
yeah,
Another huge fucking breakout performance that saw tons of records fall, right? So
yeah,
was
yeah,
that kind of transition being someone who was always raw going into wraps, or you would
yeah,
probably been training in wraps when you thought you were preparing for the 2020 US Open?
yeah. So it wasn't a hard transition. I felt like I went into it pretty well. Obviously I had hard days, but that prep was heavy. Like every week was just heavy, heavy, heavy. Um, and then
Because you were like hitting new uncharted territory and kind of
yeah, it
pushing
was
your
like
boundaries of what you thought were possible, right?
yeah, I was like, I don't know where the ceiling is right now, but I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, I mean, to
Um,
go from squatting a 534, which was your ultimate goal in sleeves, just
yeah,
for people listening to put in perspective, to then 6 months later in wraps squatting 650. I mean, that's 120 pounds more on your back, you know? So
yeah,
when you say heavy, it's literally the definition of insane heavy things your
yeah,
body was not used to, right?
yeah, yeah, pretty crazy. That was a fun meet. That was like a very memorable meet. Like I will never
Great.
forget that.
It
Yeah,
was, yeah.
it was cool.
I'll
I
tell
will
you,
say
because
like,
someone who had been to three of the Kerns, I went in
yeah,
2017 or 2017, 2018, no, 2018, 2019, and then that one in 2021. That was
yeah,
the biggest outlier. You know, Ryan did
yeah,
such a great job. I think that was the first meet that really started showing production side of pro wrestling
yeah,
meets, you know,
for sure.
Ryan having the little fire and stuff like that,
Yeah, it
and
was
having
cool.
such a stacked lineup. That was it kind of entered us into a new era of pro powerlifting, in my
I
opinion.
agree. Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, it was like it almost felt like you were in a nightclub. Like it was dark in there, the lights were going, the music was going. It was cool. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. So that was your last meet, 165. Closed the door,
Yeah,
165, 687 dots. Absolutely fucking nuts. Then
yeah,
it just kind of rolled from there, right? Over the last
yeah.
couple of years, primarily competing raw, going back and forth between raw and
Mm-hmm.
wraps, right?
Yep.
Brings us to kind of present day.
Yeah. So I am doing the Ghost Clash again. Super excited because this was such a good meet last year. Like, were there any complaints? Because I had like such a good time.
Hell yeah. I would fucking hope not. And if they did, I guess
Yeah,
people finally kept them to themselves. It's
I was gonna say,
crazy because it's like, you know my history. Some people know my history. I ran
yeah,
three pro level meets before I ran the
yeah,
Ghost Clash. So this is my sixth pro level meet that I've ever
amazing.
ran. So it's, I've been through most of the hiccups, most of the
Yeah,
complaints, most of the ups and downs. And I like to think that it's fully past it because I really agree. Last year was such a good
loved it.
time. It was such a good
Yeah,
evolution of pro powerlifting.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, everyone fucking loves coming to Miami. You know what I mean?
true, true, true.
Like you're not
It's
going to
fun.
Kansas City, Missouri for the show.
No,
You know what I mean? Like people are going to do it. They're not going to
yeah,
be super fucking stoked.
yeah.
They're not going to be like, I'm staying in Kansas City for 3 days after, maybe some people. But no, I agree. And
It's
thank you.
cool. It's
Thank you.
cool. Yeah, and the venue, like the tank, that's an awesome venue.
Yeah, I agree. So take me through. You're competing in wraps again, right? You're coming off
Yes.
your performance at so last year at the Ghost Clash, you
Yeah.
PR'd your sleeve total, right?
Amazing. Yeah.
It'd been a year since you competed in sleeves, Hybrid Showdown 4, PR your sleeve
Yeah.
total, improved your sleeve performance. You then
Yeah.
go into wraps into the American Pro 2, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have the day you expected. 1 for 3 on
No.
squats, right? So take me a little bit through
No.
that, and then take me through kind of the changes, the shifts now leading into this next one.
Yeah.
Almost as you would call back to back preps without them being very back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So American Pro was tough. It was tough. It was a hard pill to swallow. And if you were to ask me like what happened, like, because I've never squatted like that. Like that was very poor for me. I think it was just a confidence issue, honestly. Like I just was not confident going into the American Pro. Like I didn't post on social media about it. I think I posted like 3 training sessions leading up to that. Whereas usually I'm like very open and very proud of what I'm doing, and it just wasn't that way for the American Pro. And then I moved across the country, so I am in Vegas now, and I'm super happy about it. It's awesome. It's I am so happy with this decision. And so now I get to train with Joe and Brianni and everyone at Fighter Quit, Micah Marino. Like it's been so good. It's been so good.
Well, what I can only imagine is it's like powerlifting, it gets repetitive. It's easy to get burned out. It's easy to run through the
Yeah,
same, kind of rigmarole all the time. And it's like you had a fantastic, training environment, fantastic team where you were, but there's nothing like a complete flip of the switch, right?
yeah,
Give you like a new, fresh page of a new environment, new people
yeah,
to be
for
around.
sure.
Uh,
For sure.
just really like light a new fire almost, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I think the majority of that fire comes from uh there is another woman in my vicinity that is just as good, if not better than me. And so it like every training session I'm competing, and not like in a jealous or negative way, like in a positive, like, hey, she just hit literally Brianni just PR'd her bench at like 319 and I'm over here benching like 300, and I was like, no, no, no. I gotta go up. Like I gotta at least match her. Like, come on now. So it's been super good to like have another female in my presence to compete with.
I love it. So
Yeah.
this prep, Ghost Clash 3. How's it been going? Obviously, you just said you were at the animal cage. You squatted 650 for 3. That was your PR from a couple years ago. That was your
Yeah.
opener at the American Pro 2.
Yeah.
I remember when I was looking at Lifting Cast at the American Pro 2 and I saw your opener, I was like, holy shit. That is she
Right.
is she gonna drop it? Like, what's it gonna be? And they're like, oh no, yeah, she's gonna squat 700 today. I'm like, damn, she's gonna squat 700 today.
Yeah.
Obviously, I could imagine that mentally was the goal, right?
Yes, it was. It was. So the heaviest wrapped squat right now is 705. It's being held by April Mathis. I've had my eye on this for a long time. Like when I squatted 650 at the current, I was like, it's just a matter of time
Right.
until that is mine. Um, so obviously at the American Pro, opening at 650, like you know where I'm going. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But my prep for this has been fantastic. It has been, just basically a matter of me stacking evidence like, yes, we can. We're gonna do this. This is gonna happen. It's been really good. It's been really good. I'm happy with how this prep's gone.
Fuck yeah. So all that
Yeah,
to say, 705 has been a long-term goal, right?
it
Is it
has.
gonna happen to Ghost Clash 3? You'll have to tune in 12 or 13 days to check it out and see, right?
Yeah,
What are some other goals, whether they're for the Ghost Clash 3 or have big
yeah,
goals on your mind of things you want to achieve?
yeah. So the world record bench for the 181 class is currently 381.
Is it a CC
I
hold that or
I know it's someone else that I don't know. What is her name? I don't remember, but it's not Cece.
all right? Put
I
it up
can't remember
right
her
now.
name.
Let's see.
I'll have to look it up.
Shannon Nash.
Yes.
So that's a long-standing record. That's been the record since 2017.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that to break
Yeah,
a 7-year standing record, and that
yeah,
was
that's
done
cool.
with a 225 squat and a 225 deadlift. So even though it was full
Oh,
power, that it was essentially done in a token way of full power.
got it. Okay.
Interesting facts. I
I didn't
love
know
I love
that.
the little fact
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that makes it even more impressive because then after
Yeah,
that is CC with 374, right?
yeah,
And then you with 369. So
yeah.
So that there we
So
go. Another
close.
goal.
And then so I have had such a struggle with my deadlift. It is not my strong suit. I at the 2021 Kern, I opened with 572 or 573, whatever. And I have not been able to touch that since. So just a PR on the deadlift would be more than amazing. I would be so happy with that. But yeah.
Probably, if I was to guess, you attribute that to going up a weight class, growing more musculature, body structure
Yeah.
changing, right?
Yeah, so I did after the 2021 Kern, I went into bodybuilding and it was awesome. It was great. But after that was done, I just blew up in size. So my deadlift really struggled in that respect because it was like I had a whole new body with new leverages, and I have just it's been a real struggle figuring it out. So,
Well,
but we'll
even if
get
you
there.
just barely chip your PR with those other,
Yeah,
it sets you up for an absolutely fantastic, amazing day.
for sure, for sure.
And potentially getting close to that 700 plus dots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yep,
Hell yeah. I love to hear it. I'm excited to see it. Thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you so much for
absolutely.
chatting.
Yeah,
Just 12 days till game day. I'm excited to see you, all the other ladies battle it out. The
for
women
sure.
raw with wraps is going to be a battle you don't want to miss. All right. Not to take away from any other division, not to take away from the men, not to take away from anything, but watching you guys, all you ladies battle it out the American Pro was the highlight of my weekend. And
Mm-hmm.
getting to
For
see it
sure.
now again run back, I am so excited to see all the records fall.
Same, same. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be real
Hell
exciting.
yeah. Well, Hunter, thank you for hopping on. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the WRPF podcast.